First up, we have Abaddon the Despoiler. Cascade is one of my favorite and one of the most broken mechanics in Magic. Thankfully, his ability is limited to only your turn and only spells from your hand, which is how it should be. Now, Cascade does stack, so if you cast a Throes of Chaos from your hand, you'll get 2 Cascade triggers. And if you Cascade into anything with Cascade, you gotta go again. Now, I've been wanting to build a Grixis commander for some time, and I think Abaddon easily goes into the wanna build here for me. Next up is Admiral Brecket Bass. So this was the original pirate commander from Ixalan, and it's a fine commander. I still consider this version of Brass to be fun. Pirates are cheap, pirates are a fun creature type, and I love stealing permanents when possible. It requires a bit too much work to end up in the wanna build tier, but I'll still put it solidly in the fun tier. Next up is Admiral Brass Unsinkable. Now this version is a lot more fun than the original. Now I might be biased because I love graveyard-based strategies, but there is something flavorful about bringing a stack of pirates back from the dead. Maybe it's the movies I grew up with. This is easily a fun commander for me. Next up is Anhelo the Painter. Now the few times I've seen this commander, it was played as a combo deck, and it always feels like one of those commanders that if you ignore them, they kind of run away with the game, but if you remove them too much, the person who built them doesn't get a play. I'm open to be wrong about him, but I'm gonna put him in the could be fun tier. Next up is Ashad the Lone Cyberman. Copying artifacts is already fun, and having a way to do it in the command zone is even more fun. There are plenty of ways to give artifacts and spells in general flash with Grixis, and the second ability is underwhelming, but it's a nice additional benefit for sacrificing creatures. I think Ashad is a solidly fun commander. Next up is Ashnod the Uncaring. Copying abilities isn't something we get to do often, but having the ability on a commander, despite some restrictions, is great. Something to keep in mind is she does copy clue, blood, and food token activations. So if you want to build a Grixis tokens deck, that seems super fun. Actually, just thinking about this makes me want to build her. I'm going to put her into the wanna build tier. Next up is Be'lakor the Dark Master. If you want to play demons or Grixis demons, Be'lakor's great. He draws you cards and is a Wormstore Surge for demons. I wish they weren't 6 mana so I could reasonably recast it more than twice or 3 times in a game. That being said, drawing a bunch of cards is always fun, so I'll put Be'lakor into the fun tier. Next up is Cecily the Haunted Mage. This is one of the Universes Within versions of the Stranger Things secret layer, so you can partner this with any of the Friends Forever commanders, but even as a solo commander, this could be fun. There are a lot of busted spells that make this incredibly unfun to play against. I'm thinking of spells like Expropriate or any extra turn spells. With all that in mind, this commander is easily at the top of the could be fun tier right now. Next up is Cormela Glamour Thief. It's a solid role player in a Spellslinger's deck. Sure, she does ramp you, but the mana is restrictive, and her death trigger can be powerful, but not when you need to spend 6 or 8 mana later in the game. If this was pop or EDH, I would say fun, but in regular EDH, she's fun in the 99. Next up is Crosis the Purger. This is one of the original invasion block dragons, and even in a dragon deck, I would probably skip on this one. I don't find making players discard in multiplayer fun, so I'm gonna put Crosis in the not fun tier. If you like making people discard or don't mind it, hey, good for you. It's just not what I want to be doing in a casual multiplayer format like this. Next up is Cult of Skaro? I'm probably saying this wrong, and I'm gonna be roasted again. Now, I've played against this commander a few times, and I've always had a blast. It's a combat-focused Grixis commander, which we don't get too often, and all of their abilities are great, especially if you pair them with any extra combat spells. I'm gonna put this commander right in the middle of fun tier. Next up is Davros Dalek creator? Dalek? I don't remember which one is right. I'm roasted constantly for it. Davros is one of the Grixis commanders I've played most against, and it's easily one of my favorites. It speeds up the game, and the villainous choice isn't overly oppressive. In fact, I've used it to my advantage a few times. While I'm not interested in Davros, because A, I can't pronounce Dalek or Dalek, he easily earns the top spot of fun tier. Next up is Don Andres the Renegade. Now, I'll be real, I forgot this commander existed, but after reading it, this is definitely a contender for in the wanna build tier. Thief decks are interesting since they can scale with the power of the table. Just let people know what you're doing ahead of time and make sure they're okay with it. I do have a Xanathar Guild Kingpin deck that has been an absolute blast, but I'm more interested in trying out Don. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely put these in the wanna build tier. Next up is Dr. Eggman. This is one of the newer Grixis commanders, and if you play against him, you should almost always discard a card. If you're playing Eggman, try to make as many clones of him as possible. Shooting cards into play is fun, and Dr. Eggman belongs solidly in the fun tier. Even if I'm not a huge fan of Universes Beyond like this, I still think he's a cool commander. Next up is Edward Kenway. Now, every time I look at the Assassin's Creed commanders, I find something new despite reviewing the entire set previously. I love the idea of using a vehicle to crew a vehicle, then stationing a spacecraft using a vehicle. Now, listen, jokes aside, you can get a ton of treasures with this commander, and steal your opponent's cards. Edward is my sleeper pick for the wanna build tier. Next up is Evelyn the Covetous. Now, I've tried building Evelyn a few times, but it never hit exactly how I wanted. Vampires don't synergize with theft effects like this, and even if I tried to build a Grixis Blink deck, I didn't really have any success. I'm sure someone has, but I'm gonna put Evelyn in the could be fun tier, mostly because of my struggles with building her. Next up is Garza Zol Plague Queen. Now this could be a fun pinger commander, but 7 of mana is a lot, especially in Grixis, and you need a lot of setup to make this work. I don't want to call this commander not fun, since it has good abilities, but I'm gonna put this in the tail end of could be fun. Maybe someone has a build with this where you're cheating on vampires or something. Next up is Goro-goro and Satoru. Goro is an interesting combat-focused Grixis commander. They can give creatures haste, so no need to play only hasty creatures. Just unblockable idiots does sound like a fun deck. And if you can give them double strike, you get 2 dragons. Goro-goro is definitely a fun tier commander for me. Next up is Gwendlyn the Corci. Now this is one of the old Legends commanders who doesn't really seem all that interesting. You can target yourself with her ability, which is cute if you want to play Reanimator with an unassuming commander. I think Gwen slots perfectly in the could be fun tier. Next up is Anhelo Archmage Ritualist. This was one of my first combo decks that used her and Wonderwine Prophet for infinite turns. Now, Eminence is a potent and divisive ability, but it isn't as powerful as something like Edgar Markov if you're not building this with combos. She is easy to build as combo, but you can also just build a great wizard pile commander. Anhelo is the perfect example of a could be fun tier commander. Next up is Jaleva Nephelia's Scourge. This is another Grixis theft deck, but it only steals instants and sorceries. She does get around the commander tax in a way, since you can exile more cards as she dies, but the biggest issue is that if she is removed, you can't cast the cards exiled with her. She requires too much effort for a middling payoff, or she'll cast Expropriate for free. I'm gonna put Jaleva in the top end, maybe, yeah, I think like right in the could be fun tier. Next up is Kefka Court Mage, and on the backside, we have Kefka, Ruler of Ruin. Kefka is an expensive Grixis commander that has the potential to draw a million cards, but it also requires 13 mana to cast and flip, all at sorcery speed. I would much rather see Kefka in the 99 of a Wizards deck than at the helm. I'm gonna put Kefka in the fun in the 99 tier. Next up is Kess Dissonant Mage. Now, Kess has always been a commander who either does nothing or incredibly broken things. I'm not sure how to go about building a fair Kess deck that is interesting. Now, she is a great support piece in a Spellslinger deck. I'm gonna put her in the fun in the 99 tier. Next up is Lord Tesserhorn. Tesserhorn is basically a 4-mana vanilla creature that forces you to remove your own creatures. If you only have 1 or 0 creatures in play, it'll just sacrifice himself. I think this is easily a not fun tier commander just because of how much it doesn't work and how middling the payoff is. Next up is Lord Xander the Collector. Remember when people were calling for this commander to be banned before it was even released? Thankfully, Xander's actually a pretty mediocre Grixis commander. His effect doesn't end the game, and often just paints a target on whoever plays him. I'd rather see it as a reanimation target in the 99 of a deck, so I'm going to put him in the tail end of fun in the 99. Next is Lind Cheerful Tormentor. Now if you want to build a curse deck, this is probably the commander for you. She's an interesting ability that moves curses around and draws you cards, and she also keeps the curses around. Now most curses aren't overly oppressive, and I think this is just the right level of fun and mean. I'm going to put her in the tail end of the fun tier. Next up is Marisil the Pretender. Marisil requires some setup to get working, and you need to either recast them several times or blink them to find the cards you want to exile. Now, what's great is once they are exiled, you'll always have access to it, but I'm not sure how you build this without it being mostly combo. I put Marisil in the could be fun tier. Next, we have Marchesa, Dealer of Death. Now, Marchesa turns all of your counter spells and removal into card selection for a small cost while filling the graveyard. If you can generate infinite mana, there are several ways to commit infinite crimes, allowing you to draw your entire deck. This is more interesting than the usual draw your entire deck combos, so I'm gonna put her in the fun tier. Next is Marchesa the Black Rose. Now, Marchesa was a powerhouse a few years ago, but has since been dethroned. Her ability is powerful with undying creatures, and I appreciate that it is incredibly broken and allows for some counterplay. I'm definitely gonna put her right in the fun tier. Next is Mishra Artificer Prodigy. Now, when I first started playing EDH, I thought this Mishra was pretty much unplayable garbage. That wasn't until I saw cards like Possibility Storm and Blood Funnel. Don't get me wrong, he still isn't a great commander, but he gets the brewing juices flowing, so I'll put him in the could be fun tier. Next up is Mishra Eminent One. This Mishra is definitely more fun as you can copy something cheap like an Ichor Wellsprings, or something mean like a Portal to Phyrexia. The versatility of the commander allows you to scale it with the power of your table, And I'm going to put Mishra in the could be fun tier, but definitely at the top end. Next up is Missy. Missy is easily one of my favorite commanders from Doctor Who. At first glance, she seems like an artifact commander, and sure, you could do something like that, but what if you abused that face down ability and built morphs instead? My friend actually has a really cool Missy combo deck, and I might be biased, but Missy's definitely going to go into the fun tier for me. Next up is Nekusar the Mind Razor, the original wheel commander and former boogeyman of the format. He is still incredibly popular, but has since fallen to the wayside. I love playing against Nekusar since I know I'm going to see a good chunk of my deck, and this is probably controversial, but I'm going to put Nekusar in the fun tier. Next up is Nicol Bolas the Ravager. Much like Kefka, Nicol Bolas requires a lot of investment to flip and can be interrupted pretty easily. There are ways to cheat on the flip cost, but those usually require a little bit of setup. I won't fault you for playing this commander, since Nicol Bolas is a really cool card, but I'm going to definitely put them right in the could be fun tier. Next up is Nicol Bolas, the original. In fact, he and the other Elder Dragons were the only commanders that were allowed at the start of the format. Now, this form of Nicol Bolas hasn't withstood the test of time as a commander. I won't fault anyone for playing him though, given the lore behind it, and I've considered building a Boomer EDH box with all the original Elder Dragons. Unfortunately, I do have to put him in the Fun 99 tier. Next up is Obeka Brute Chronologist. Now, I love having a Sundial of the Infinite in the command zone, especially with the new warp cards from Edges of Eternities like Starwinder or Quantum Riddler. There are also some really broken things you can do, like putting a Final Fortune under an Isochron Scepter. Given the wide range of possibilities, I'm going to put Obeka in the could be fun tier. Next up is Obeka Splitter of Seconds. This version of Obeka is just as interesting as the original. Now, I tend to shy away from commanders that require dealing combat damage, but she has Menace, which makes it easier, and getting a ton of upkeeps is always a blast when you build around it. And much like the original, I'm going to put this Obeka in the could be fun tier. Next up is Parnis the Subtle Brush. This commander has a lot of words that just don't impress me. The pseudo word 4 is nice, but I don't want to give my opponent spells to copy. I could see her in the 99 of a deck as a protection piece, so I'm going to put her in fun in the 99, but more towards the tail end. Next up is Saruman the White Hand. If you want to build goblins or orcs, Saruman provides a powerful ward effect. However, when I build a deck around creatures, I want the commander to care about the creatures and not just give them ward. But in this case, Saruman wants you to cast non-creature spells, and you don't even get to go wide since the army gets larger. I do like the idea of casting a bunch of 0 mana spells with like a Blood Artist out. I'm going to put him in the could be fun tier just for that reason. Next up is Sauron, Lord of the Rings. Now, I'm glad Sauron has a cast trigger, but 8 mana, I'm going to definitely take a pass on this. The cost is too high and the payoff isn't worth it. I won't blame you if you like the flavor of him, but for me, fun in the 99 is where he'll sit. Next up is Sauron the Dark Lord. Now, this version's a little bit more interesting. The ward cost is unique, and amassing an army that you can freely sacrifice is powerful. I wouldn't really worry about that third line of text on this commander, and instead build around the token sacrifice. I'm going to slot this version of Sauron right into the fun tier. Next up is Cedrus the Traitor King. Now, I remember when Cedrus was the Grixis commander, and despite being power crept, Cedrus is still a fun commander. There are a lot of powerful creatures to unearth, and if you add Ghostly Flicker to the mix, you can do some really mean things. I'm going to put Cedrus right in the fun tier though. Next up is Sulkanar the Swamp King. Now, Sulkanar is a cool hidden mono black commander, I guess. But aside from that, a 5 mana commander with an incredibly narrow ability just doesn't interest me. If you have Painter's Servant lying around, maybe try building him, but I'm going to definitely say fun in the 99 for this commander. Next up is Sulkanar the Tainted. Now, this version is a lot more fun, especially with new cards like Yoshital and Thassa Deep Dwelling in play. He only has about 419 decks at the time of recording, but I want to add one more to that list. Sulkanar's another surprising pick that's going to go into the wanna build tier. Next is Tetsuo Umezawa. Now, this version of Tetsuo isn't fun in any deck. Both of his abilities are underwhelming and niche. Maybe if you want to build 5-color archers, he'd have a home, but sadly, the original Tetsuo is going to go into the not fun tier. Next up is Tetsuo Imperial Champion. Now, I've thought about building this version several times over the years. I love it when a commander combines two themes like this in a unique way. However, I can't make a build I'm satisfied with. I'm not going to hold it against him, so I'm going to put him in the fun tier instead of in the could be fun tier, but it's kind of right at the end there. Next up is the Rani. Now, forcing combats is a great way to make games end quickly, and her ability is on attacks instead of combat damage, so you can use Maze of Ith to trigger her while not risking your commander. I think because of this, and I really enjoy combat, she's going to go right into the fun tier for me. Next up is the Valyard. Now, the Valyard is a commander who will become stronger over time. Trust me on this. There are only 29 other cards that mention voting or villainous choices in Grixis at the time of writing. I expect that number to increase over the next few years with Universes Beyond. But for now, the Valyard will go into the tail end of the fun tier with the hopes that he'll become way more fun down the road. Next up is Thraxamundar, and I really want to enjoy Thraxamundar so badly, but his abilities are underwhelming. 7 mana for a hasty creature that doesn't impact the board is both weak and not really that fun for me. The one spot I could see him in is a combo deck that uses him and like Chandra's Ignition to one-shot the table. Sadly, I think Thrax is a better card in the 99 or more fun in the 99 than as a commander. Next is Wick the World Mind. I actually did a video on this commander when Bloomburrow came out, which you should definitely check out after this video. I loved playing this deck during my playgroup's lower power nights, but he has the issue of being a board-based deck, so Farewell will just ruin your evening. But he's unique, fun, and I've built him before, so I'm gonna put him in the wanna build tier. And finally we have Zevlar, X-Troll Exile. After my third playthrough of Baldur's Gate, I really wanted a commander from the set, and Zevlar was one of my top choices. I've messed around with a few brews, but I wasn't quite sure the direction I wanted to go, and a lot of the cards he plays can be kind of mean, so unfortunately I am gonna put him in the fun tier, and I think a lot of what's carrying that is I just enjoyed this commander a lot, but I just can't get a build that I really like. And that wraps up my Grixis fun ranking. I would love to know your thoughts on this video down in the video description below. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that. And check out my podcast, Magic Boomers, formerly known as Fail to Find. I cannot speak today. Linked down in the video description below and shown on screen here. Alrighty, nerds. I'll see you in the next one for some Spider-Man stuff.